My name is Amy Linton. I want to tell you about what my life was like when I was growing up. I was born in 1914, not in a hospital, but in a little house on McLaughlin Street. My father came to Canada from Italy in 1905. He moved to Fort William, where he worked for the railway. After a few years, he saved some money, and then went back to Italy, where he married my mother in 1910. They lived in Italy for a year, and then my father came back to Fort William. My mother didn't come with him right away. For a couple of years, my father worked to earn enough money for my mother to come to Canada, and she did come in 1913. My father took a job at the Canada Iron Foundry. It was hard to raise a growing family on his wages. I remember for a while he made 15 cents an hour. We all helped out as best we could. I did housework for a family that paid 10 cents a day. Our house used to be on the 800 block of our street, but my father moved the house to the 700 block when I was 8, so we could be closer to our friend's house. I remember father rounded up some men and a team of horses for the move. The men put logs under the house as rollers, and the horses pulled it along. It took 3 days. It was very exciting, and everyone came around to watch. Our house had electricity and water. We had one cold water tap over a little sink and one light bulb hanging in the middle of the room. All 7 of us kids had fun at bath time. Mother would heat the water on the wood stove and fill up a laundry tub. There was lots of splashing and laughing and yelling. I remember getting soap in my eyes once, and it really hurt. It was lye soap, and that didn't smell very good, and didn't have any perfume, and was always one color, yellow. In the winter, there would always be a big fire burning in the stove. After our baths, we'd run to stand in front of it to dry off and not catch a chill. Almost everyone used coal to heat their houses. Murphy's Coal Company had a dock on the waterfront where the ships would unload great piles of coal. My part of the city became known as the coal docks, and some people still call it that, even though there hasn't been any coal docks here for years. Murphy's would deliver the coal to everyone's houses. You'd order enough to get you through the winter, and they'd come and dump it in your coal bin, usually in the basement. Have you ever seen coal? It came in chunks and was very rough and hard. It cost about $12 a ton. Wood for the stove was between $5 and $8 a cord. Those wood stoves were dirty. When it came time to take out the ashes, the job was very messy. If the stove got too hot, the soot in the chimney would burn. We had to clean out the chimney 2 or 3 times a year. The wood stove kept the house warm, but you had to work to keep the fire going. There was more to it than just turning up a thermostat. Our house is bigger now, but when we first moved in, it only had 3 rooms, a kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. All of us kids slept together in one room. There was lots of tickling, pulling blankets, and kicking. I don't know how we ever got any sleep. Our mattresses were made of straw, and we'd have to shake them now and then because they got pretty lumpy. Mother's mattress, which she brought from Italy, was stuffed with sheep's wool and was very soft. There was always a lot of work to do, and everybody helped. We had to wash the laundry by hand in large tubs and scrub the floor with brushes. There wasn't a carpet, but we did have a few rugs covering the wood floor. There were always brothers and sisters and neighbor kids to look after. There seemed to be kids everywhere. We also helped out making meals, baking bread and cakes and pies, and we made our own preserves. We'd seal fruit, jams, and jellies, pickles and tomatoes in glass jars that would keep for the winter. The homemade things tasted so good. We kept it all in the dugout basement. There were shelves for all the jars and barrels for pickled carrots, cucumbers, and peppers Father made. They were a treat. Spread out on the floor of the basement were potatoes, carrots, and cabbages. We never had an electric refrigerator, but our icebox worked almost as well. It was like a fridge, but it had a box on top where a big block of ice was placed. The melting ice would drip down into a pan underneath. Every day we had to empty the water out of the pan. The Iceman came once a week, and you bought 50-cent pieces of ice. The blocks of ice came from the lake. Every winter, men would go to Lake Superior and cut big blocks of ice. Then they'd haul the blocks to the ice house on Cummings Street, then deliver them to the houses with a horse and wagon. As long as the ice was in the ice house and kept covered with sawdust, it would keep all summer long. We used to run behind the ice wagon and get pieces of ice. I think the delivery man liked the company on his rounds. Everyone had milk delivered to their doorstep. The milk came in glass bottles. There wasn't as much cream taken from the milk, so there would always be an inch or two of it at the top of the bottle. You could spoon it off and save it for coffee or tea, but otherwise you'd have to shake the bottle to mix it up. The milkmen came early in the morning, and in winter, if you didn't bring your milk inside soon enough, it would freeze. That would make the cream rise up out of the bottle with the lid stuck on top, just like a little hat. Now that was real ice cream. Almost everyone had a dog or cat. We kept chickens for the eggs. Now and then we'd have one for roasting, but not often. Some of the neighbors kept rabbits and pigs, which gave good fertilizer for their gardens. Almost nothing went to waste. Some families kept a cow for milk. I know of one family that kept a goat for goat's milk and goat cheese. Where the Slovak Legion and Imperial Oil are today used to be bush. People would keep their cows and pigs there because it was all grass. They were an important source of food for each family. There weren't many cars, so we used to play on the streets in front of the house. The horses that pulled the bread and milk wagons used to go slowly, so it was safe. We used to play a game where we'd take a barrel hoop or the rim from a wagon wheel, then a stick with a nail in the end, and use that to get the rim rolling. We'd roll it as far as we could down the sidewalk. We also played dodge the ball, tag, and hide and seek. We had no television, so we had to make our own fun. When we got older, we'd go visiting to play cards. Girls didn't play sports in those days. We were supposed to become ladies. Instead of baseball, we would embroider and knit. We weren't even supposed to ride bikes. Thank goodness that has changed. On Sundays, the whole family would go for a walk. It was a tradition that everyone seemed to do. We'd wear our best Sunday clothes, and we'd just go for a stroll after church. Or we'd visit our friends, but there was always someone left at our house just in case neighbors or friends came to visit. The streets weren't paved then, and the sidewalks were made of wooden planks. Some of us used to spend hours peering between the cracks to see if there was money or things that people had dropped. You know, things may have been different then. People had less money and there wasn't as much to do or as many places to go, but it really wasn't all that different. People still felt strongly about their family, their friends, and the things they liked to do. Just like you.